Hey guys, I am back live. Are you able to hear me? All right, guys, let's go ahead and get started. As I'd started the other ones, I'm sorry that you guys didn't have any audibles, but I wanted to go ahead and let you know on yesterday, we did have, all right, hey Bat, thanks you so much. You are always awesome in giving me the feedback and helping with the audio. So on Saturday, we did have the Women Tell All conference set up by Anka at Trade Out Loud, which was amazing. And there were 5 female speakers, all revealing tips and pointers in different ways to profit in the market. So definitely check that out as well. And as far as the Modern Trader Summit, amazing event that's going to be happening June 22nd. Seats are starting to really sell out quickly. So make sure you do book your seat. Amazing people that are going to be there. Jeremy, who is an options and stock trader, does a lot of swing trading. Great person. He is going to be bringing his experience. We have Tracy Schuhart that is coming from Laval locally, and she is originally from the US as well, and she is an options trader, a commodities trader as far as trading oil. So she brings that specialty to the table. And we have Andrew Aziz, who's out from British Columbia, who had his PhD in chemical engineering and then focused and switched into trading and now runs a trading room out there. So definitely check out Andrew Aziz. And we have Sean McLaughlin, who's primarily an options trader, coming to bring his expertise as well with trade ideas. And Marina, who is a futures trader. She is coming to us from Guatemala, actually. So you can see this can be done anywhere in the world. Andrew is a big high peak climber. He can do that and still be able to trade as well. So it gives you the freedom and lifestyle to work where you want, when you want, and pretty much have the ability to work from anywhere. So let's go ahead and get into the watch list. So let's get it back into the SPY. So basically, as you guys know, I'd had my Series 7 before back in 2000. However, it is not current. So please remember to do your own due diligence, trade with proper risk management. I'm taking off my glasses because I see there's a big glare. And trade with proper risk management, because this is, very important to have your risk management set aside perfectly for yourself. Everybody has different risk tolerances. Everybody has different time frames that they can be in the market. So remember that as you're going forward. So let's go ahead and back it out to the monthly view for the SPY. You can see we actually broke above this resistance back here. So it looks like we are in a bullish range. This was the end of last month on Friday. It looks like we are bullish right here. However, that could also turn into a bear head and shoulders. So we shall see where we are. But as far as the monthly, it's looking strong. For the weekly as well, we closed out of this consolidation period. We closed up higher. We didn't break the high of last week of 280. Excuse me, we did break that high. We have to break 285.18. for it to really be a nice breakout. After that, I think we're going to go head on up further, but we are sort of in this upward wedge, so we could continue to sort of oscillate back and forth. And then on the daily, it definitely looks like we are in that bullish trend, right? We've gone and we've sort of, it looks like a handle that's setting up for a cup and handle, right? A cup here and a handle, and then potentially up higher. So it's looking right now to be bullish, but be nimble. That is the name of it, right? Make sure that you don't get stuck thinking just one thing, and you're able to go ahead and be nimble and move out. Same thing it looks like with NASDAQ. Looks like it be potentially pushing up here higher. And then when we get into the Russell, it looks like we are in this downward trend here. So we shall see if we break above this downward trend and we go ahead and we break above here and the 200-day moving average. We're sandwiched right between the 50 SMA and the 200 SMA. So, if we break out above 156.85, I believe that we would be likely going higher. If we do break down below this 149.40 area or this 129 moving average, 149.22, then we would likely be going lower. So it's still in an indecision area for me, but I am leaning more bullish based on the longer term candlesticks for the SPY for the month and the week. All right, getting into the watch list for potential longs. I do say potential because they could go either way, obviously, but it depends on where the volume and resistance and support start to get broken. So looking at the 15-minute chart for ASND, it looks like support of 116.50, resistance of 118.22, and on a 15-minute chart, look at that, we just touched that 200 simple moving average and it pulled back. So that might end up being bearish, but as we go to our 1-year chart, you can see we are up at the high up here, and it looks like it's broken this downward trend right here with an up day. So it could continue on up, and we might squeeze higher back up to 125. This does have 22.5 million in the float and 27.32% short float volume on Friday. Next on the long list is AEZS. So you can see here, I'd had it back in the past as a potential long. So I have support of 444 and resistance of 477. On our yearly chart, we do have a nice breakout here where it broke out above the high of the 52-week high, which was 439. And if we pull it back to a 5-year chart, you can see that really we've got to break above this level back here, 505. And then right here, a high of 559 for it to really be upsurging. On the weekly chart, this is the 200 simple moving average for the week, and it did break nicely above that, and it's closed above it. So that could be a strong indication. We've got the other averages curling up. We've got the 4 and the 8 about to cross the 200 here. 50 is down here, so that could be a nice indication that we do have a nice upward move coming for AEZS. It does have 9.88 million in the float and 39.58% short float volume on Friday. Let's go back to our 15-minute chart and we'll look at the next potential long on the list. MLND. So this one you can see it closed up. It had a high on Friday and pulled back a little bit, but it was still holding above the averages. So this one could continue up further. I have support of 1476 and resistance of 1524. It did have 51% short float volume on Friday, and it has 5.49 million in the float. When we look back at our yearly chart, look at this. This is coming to test the high back here, right? So if we pull it back a little bit further, the next high above that is 1591, and then on up here, $17, then we would have $18, and then potentially on up to $20. So nice potential $5 move in the stock if it is able to go ahead and have that movement up, as long as it has volume behind it. As a low float 5.9 million, this one could easily squeeze that $5 amount in a day. Next on our long list is USAT. Hey, how's it going, Beef? How are you? Happy to have you join me today. All right, so for USAT Technologies, it looks like we'll look at it on the bigger picture. 15-minute chart, support of 4.03, resistance of 415. You can see it came up, hit the high, and then it tried to break out, but it was an up thrust above that high the end of the day on Friday, but it did close up high. So this one could continue up. It does have 48.6 million in the float, and it was 50% short float volume on Friday. When we look back at it on the yearly chart, you can see, look at this. Now, what had happened was they've had issues as far as how they're reporting to the exchanges. And USA Technologies is a pretty cool company as far as the value that it does bring, but it has had these massive drops to it. So it does look like it found overall support down here around 52-week low of 320. So this one actually might be a nice potential longer term swing, right? When you start seeing that it had a $16 high back in August, and we're down here at 25% of that, around $4, this one might have a nice upward move. It's holding above the 4 and the 8 have gone ahead and curled up, and it has that nice potential. So this one actually might be a nice longer term swing as well as a long into the week. Payx is the next one on our long list. So we'll look at it on the daily chart. You can see we're right here We had a high that was set on Thursday, and then on Wednesday, came back down to the averages and bounced back up. So we could be going up to retest 80.74. I would look for support of 79.82 and resistance of 80.37. You can see it's pretty much at that 52-week high, and you'll see many times they go up, they test it, they break out again, they come back down, they test it, they go back up. So this one might be in that nice upward trend trajectory for the rest of the year. We shall see. It has 320 million in the float and 68% short float volume on Friday. So if it does gap up, those shorts might be feeling the heat and might go ahead and continue to gap it up into Monday. When we do pull it back on the 5-year chart to give you the bigger picture, you can see this is all-time highs, right? So we are looking at all-time highs for this stock. So there's clear skies above, nothing else to restrict it. When we get into our shorts for the week, we have Lulu. So Lulu had great earnings on Thursday, right? And then it pulled back and pulled back further. It actually had a red day on Friday, and then it was a red day on Thursday from open, and then a red day on Friday as well, down to this support area. So 1636 for support and 163.36 and 165.11 for resistance. It does have 112 million in the float. Next, we go on to Movado. So we'll look at the big picture here. We'll remove these old short information, right? So here we had a big surge up on Thursday. Earnings came out, it dropped back down, and now we have this gap fill potential to the bottom. So I would look for 36.23. It closed down at the low of the day. 36.23 for support and 37.17 for resistance. You can see it came down, bounced a little bit. It bounced off of this, which would be the support, which then turned into resistance. Came down, found new support, bounced up, never broke above, and broke out from that resistance, and it looks like it's going to continue down, that dreaded H pattern. And we have the gap all the way down here to 32.82, but I can hear my little ones, they're running around like crazy. So it looks like that might have potential gap down of $4 roughly. Next short is Restoration Hardware. So Restoration Hardware had that earnings report where it dropped down, bounced, came down on Friday, and so I would look for this to have potential downside as well going into the week, and then it might find support on Tuesday or Wednesday. So we will see, but for now it looks like it is in that selling zone. 102.30 for support and 106.44 for resistance to be broken. On the year, you can see that this one had a massive, so we came down, we broke down, we found that this support from the past has now looked like it's set up as resistance, right? It was resistance over here, and it's crazy because I drew that on the 15-minute chart, and now you look and you see on the bigger time frames, look, this resistance was, this support was resistance in the past, right? And then this resistance was resistance in the past as well, but it also acted as support. So these computers and people are all seeing these patterns, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy so that you see it again and again. So the next downward area, I would say potentially is down to 97.98. Then below that, if we break that, down over here to the 95 range. So potentially $7 move to the downside this week before it might find support and bounce up. RH, I forgot to tell you guys, Movado has 15.9 million in the float, and RH has 18.8 million in the float. Next, we have Shoe Carnival. So Shoe Carnival had earnings as well, popped up and then dropped. So watch for this one potentially to have that gap fill back down here, and this would be support of 33.94 and resistance of 34.87. It does have 9.7 million in the float, so that is pretty low float. So be cautious because the low floats, as you can see back in the past, you can see it had this major squeeze up here, and then it ran, and then once it gapped here, another big gap up here. So make sure that you do be cautious if you are trading this to the short side because you don't want to get squeezed quickly. You know, trading it long as well, I would wait for that bottom support to be found. So it could have a gap fill all the way down. First gap fill I would say is down here to 33.44. Then if that breaks, I would look for this support test again, 32.25, and then all the way down to the 31.50 area. Last one on the potential short list is Celgene. So Celgene, look at this big gap up. It did have, you know, it did have this strong candle up. However, we do have this gap to fill to the downside. If you look back, you don't really see any gaps. Potentially here. Here's a gap that didn't get filled until right back here. But this one looks, you know, you've got this one right here where, ooh, I just lost it, where it gapped down here. It gapped down and then it came up and it filled it. So a lot of times you will see that these gaps will get filled. This one was a major gap though. Obviously it has, excuse me, has not gapped back down here. So just keep it on watch. When you look at it on the 15-minute chart, excuse me, I don't know why I have these supports and resistance all the way down here. So I have on my list 94.78 for resistance to be broken. And then I also have support of 93.08. Right here, or 93, to be broken to the downside. So keep that on watch. Celgene does have 697 million in the float, and we are up at the 52-week high right here. It has tested this high as well, so we will see if this is a double top or if we do have further move to the upside, but it might be a pullback as well, just like we had here with this doji. But this is a nice, fairly strong candle, but it looks like it might be testing that again and then pulling back. As always, guys, if you like my content, please like and subscribe. I would love to see you all there in person at the Modern Trader Summit, so make sure you book your seat because I love to help people in person and as well as online. Have a great week ahead. Carpe profit. Seize those profits one trade at a time.